Today, former Trump advisor Roger Stone set to be arraigned in federal court. The special counsel accusing him of obstruction and lying to Congress as he vows to fight it out and take it to trial.
Former Republican congressman from South Carolina, Trey Gowdy, chaired the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee. He joins us right now from Greenville. Good morning to you, Congressman.
Good morning.
Good morning. How are y'all?
Doing okay. Weren't you involved in some of the cross-examination of Roger Stone in the past? So what might you be able to shed light-wise on this?
Well, I was in the room. I may have asked the questions. That's one of the narratives that unfortunately has been imprinted in our fellow citizens' minds, is that the Democrats were the only ones asking Russia questions. I asked Roger Stone a bunch of questions, and you have a lot of options when you are asked questions under oath. You can not answer, you can tell the truth, you can assert a privilege. About the only thing you can't do is make a material misrepresentation with the intent to deceive. Now, he's presumed innocent. But I had a unique vantage point for both the questions asked and the answers provided last year.
And do you believe he was telling you the truth, or did anything prove that he wasn't?
Among my many limitations, I am not a human polygraph machine. I do not know, and even if he made a factual mistake, I don't know whether or not he had the intent to deceive. Okay. I know we spent a lot of time on this WikiLeaks, whether or not the Trump campaign had knowledge that the information would be disseminated publicly. We spent a lot of time on that. I actually asked him the intermediary question. Adam Schiff couldn't get him to answer it. But he answered it for us, for the Republicans, on who the intermediary was with Julian Assange.
All right, so if he didn't tell the truth but didn't realize he wasn't, for instance, you were at a party and you were there and you might have talked to someone and he doesn't remember talking to that person and he said, no, I've never talked to that person. If it turns out he did, but he wasn't intending to lie, he didn't intentionally do it, then how does that weigh in the courts?
Well, thank goodness every false statement does not result in perjury or a false statement prosecution. If I were to say, I hope you have a good Thursday, well, today's not Thursday. So maybe I just made a mistake. Maybe I didn't recall. It has to be a material misrepresentation with the intent to deceive. It's tough to win these cases, so the fact that Mueller has brought so many of them, and they've resulted in guilty pleas or admissions, tells me he must feel like he has a pretty good case.
By the way, who's that intermediary you were able to find out? You said you had found out the intermediary between WikiLeaks and Roger Stone?
What? Wasn't it Credico?
Oh, Randy Credico.
That's right. It will be interesting to see if Robert Mueller decides to go after everybody who lied in front of Congress during your tenure. That would be a crowded courtroom. Let's talk a little bit about, Congressman, the race for the 2020 presidency. And you see, and you've got a unique point of view, having been in politics for so long. What do you make of the progressive pull to bring the Democratic Party so far to the left, where it seems like the most popular people right now are offering free everything?
Welcome to our world. I mean, we have a political process where the primary is controlled by the base. And that's true on the Republican side, and it's true on the Democrat side. So they're going to have to sort out what Republicans used to have to sort out. Do you go for someone you think is electable, like a John McCain or Mitt Romney, who wound up not being electable, or do you go with who the base picks? And the base picked Donald Trump, and he wound up winning. Now, are they going to go with Kamala Harris? Are they going to go with Joe Biden? They have the same issues that we've had during past presidential cycles. The candidate that I know the best is Tulsi Gabbard. And while we may not agree on issues, I don't think she's going to be pulled in any direction she doesn't want to go. And we'll see whether or not the Democrats have an appetite for authenticity as they go through the nominating process.
You know, some are saying that South Carolina's in play. The Democrats are really coming hard down there, not only to win their primary when it gets there, but to win the general. Is South Carolina in play?
Not the one I live in, unless they're two South Carolinas. No, this is Tim Scott, Lindsey Graham country. This is not Kamala Harris, AOC territory.
I think the Democrats would like it to be in play, but perhaps that's not the reality.
And maybe I'll live long enough to see that, but I'm going to have to live a long time.
Right. My mom is from Greenville, where you are, and she calls that God's country.
So do I, and we would love for you to come back to South Carolina, Angela.
Well, I'm not going to do that right now. I come back about every weekend, but maybe one day. I love that state. I'm so proud of you and all the lawmakers there. Have done a great job. And our Gamecocks.
Indeed. Trey, thank you very much for joining us live.
And Roger Stone is expected in court in just a few hours. The longtime advisor to President Trump will be arraigned in Washington on 7 charges. The special counsel accusing him of lying to Congress, obstruction, and witness tampering in the Russia probe. Stone says he is innocent and there was no collusion.
There is no Russian collusion. I had no collaboration with WikiLeaks. I'm not charged with conspiracy. Believe me, if they could have made that case, they would have. But they want to silence me because I will stand up for Donald Trump. That's what this is really about.
So what does this latest move mean for the Russia probe?
Joining us now is Tom Fitton, president of Judicial Watch. So this is another one that is being picked off by Robert Mueller. What do we have here?
Oh, in my view, it's a low-rent indictment, low-rent prosecution. It's the sort of prosecution I don't think the Justice Department would have brought but for this Mueller special counsel operation, which is geared at trying to destroy and harass President Trump. I think Mr. Stone is going to have a credible argument in the courts that he didn't do what is suggested in the indictment. Now, whether he's guilty or not, I don't know. But I don't think Americans should be able really trust the special counsel operation to disinterestedly and dispassionately analyze the evidence about what Stone did. You know, it's a terrible situation, and Mr. Stone is in the dock because of his relationship with Donald Trump, not because of anything inappropriate he may or may not have done.
Well, let's take a look at some of the charges against Roger Stone, and that includes 1 count of obstruction of an official proceeding, 5 counts of false statements, 1 count of witness tampering. And we also have a clip here from acting AG Matt Whitaker. Let's go ahead and listen to what he has to say.
The investigation is, I think, close to being completed, and I hope that we can get the report from Director Mueller as soon as possible.
Okay, close to being completed. I mean, I think a lot of people waiting for this to be over and be wrapped up. What do you make of it, Tom?
Oh, I think that's more of a wish rather than a report. I don't see this investigation ending soon enough. But frankly, as Mr. Stone highlighted, there is no Russia collusion, and if there's no Russia collusion, there should be no special counsel, as abusive as it is. And you know, if I were the president, I would be demanding that it be shut down administratively, and if it doesn't, maybe he should move into court and try to do it himself. This is go ahead.
Yeah, well, I want to ask, you know, I mean, obviously nobody knows when it's going to end. Judge Napolitano just said yesterday he thinks it's going to go for another year. Adam Schiff was enraged that that comment was made by Matt Whitaker because he wants it to last longer. But let's get back to the connection here between this guy and WikiLeaks and Roger Stone, WikiLeaks, and Russia. Because you've got WikiLeaks and Russia connected. You've got Roger Stone and WikiLeaks connected. I mean, there is a connection there. And people that disagree with you would say that's a pretty big connection.
Well, that's the 6 degrees to Kevin Bacon approach to prosecution.
Well, that's 2 degrees.
Yeah, well, but the whole point is, because you talk to someone who may or may not have talked to the Russians, there's no evidence anyone knowingly colluded with the Russians to steal emails out of the DNC, which is the core fake allegation of the dossier and its advocates. Now, Mrs. Clinton's campaign, according to this indictment, was in communication with the WikiLeaks group and pressuring them on these emails. Does that mean they were in league with the Russians? Maybe, under this theory. But of course, the difference is no one's asked Mrs. Clinton or her campaign about their communications with the Russians under oath in order to pursue, and in my view, trumped-up perjury charges against them. But you know, this is to me the worst corruption in the Justice Department in modern times, this targeting of Trump and his team, and frankly, Mr. Trump should consider pardons for most of the Americans caught up in its web.
Well, it's, it goes back to the theory that people say, you're supposed to find a crime and then investigate, and it's kind of been the opposite effect here. We're investigating people looking for a crime. Tom, thank
just
you for your
quickly,
time.
this report, why are we going to let Mueller write a report if he's not indicting anyone in the White House or Mr. Trump? That's obviously not on the cards. So we're going to have another dossier targeting President Trump. That report, rather than talking about publicizing it, we ought to be talking about whether or not he should be writing the report to begin with under our constitutional system.
All right, you make some good points. Tom, thank you so much for your time this morning. We do appreciate it.
Have a good day.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right.
John, and some news about the State of the Union address today.
Yes, there were letters that were exchanged between the Speaker of the House, Nancy Pelosi, and President Trump. In her letter, Nancy Pelosi said that we agreed to try to find a mutually agreeable date for the next State of the Union. She says, I've identified that date as February the 5th. We'd like you to come up to the House and give your State of the Union address, to which the President said, see you next Tuesday. So stay tuned. We'll have a State of the Union unless something goes off the rails next Tuesday. Brett?
Let's hope not. John, thanks.